Hi there, Lee Thurburn, and I'm delighted today to be talking with Chuck Chapman, who is the owner of C Squared Internet Solutions. And I've had the pleasure of knowing Chuck for 10 or 12 years. He and I got in a BNI group about the same time, 10 or 12 years ago, and we've stayed in touch. And Chuck is a great guy, and he does a great job. So I wanted to take a moment and just get on the record with Chuck what it is he does. So Chuck, tell us. What is it that you do? What is C Squared Internet Solutions all about?
Well, Lee, what we try to do is help businesses connect to the internet through their website. And it starts, most of my clients start off with building a new website or updating an existing one, but most of them are building a new website. And one of the things that we focus on is we want to do a responsive design, which means that the website will look good on all formats, and the screen size doesn't matter. It looks good in any type of screen. The next thing we do is we also focus on doing well with the search engines. So there's all kinds of elements that go into the website that affect how well you come out on the search engines in terms of search rankings. And so I make sure all those elements are there. I try to be very specific about what kind of things are important and talking to the customer about what kind of what their business is all about, because if I don't understand that, I can't effectively represent you and do a good job making sure the website reflects what the business owner wants it to reflect with respect to their target audience. I have clients that also do Google AdWords, and I manage those campaigns for them. One of the things that I do when I meet with a client is I ask them what they want to use, how they want to use their website in terms of generating clients and what is an important part of their business. And so one of the things that I do is I question how they get their clients, where they come from, what type of people are they, those kind of questions. And that kind of leads into the conversation about whether or not internet marketing will be an effective way for them to generate leads. And sometimes it is, and sometimes it isn't. And then the next set of questions I ask will determine what kind of internet marketing, whether you do it organically through search engine optimization, which means we go in and optimize your website to make it more effective from a search engine point of view, but that takes time. It doesn't happen immediately. So that I got to try to set the right expectations with the client so that they know that, hey, this is a long-term project. You're not going to get results right off the bat. The other one that I talked about, which is Google AdWords, that tends to go immediately. And so the difference between the two is Google AdWords is probably a little more expensive because you're paying for people clicking on your advertisement and going to your website. Every time you do that, Google charges the client money. So give you an example. I have one client that advertises to the whole country, and their advertising budget on Google AdWords is $2,100 a month. So it can be expensive. So all those factors I have to look at to make sure that it's a win-win for both of us. I certainly do not want to sign up a client to do internet marketing and it turns out that it's going to be a failure. I will not go down that path. I would rather pass on the business.
One of the things I've always really admired about you is that integrity aspect. I know you've turned down business before, and that's kind of uncommon for small businesses. A lot of people they'll take anything just so that they can have some revenue, and you don't do that. So how did you get into the internet business? Were you an engineer of some sort? I mean, what what was your background before you got into C Squared and before you started your business?
Sure. When I got out of college, I started working in computer chip manufacturing as my degree's in physics. And so I helped. It was a very rewarding career that lasted 24 years. And I saw a lot of changes, learned a lot. It gave me a lot of my technical skills that I could utilize in what I'm doing now. So in 2007, I was working with TI, and at that time, TI made the decision that the manufacturing of the most advanced computer chips was becoming too costly. And so they decided that it would be cheaper to outsource the manufacturing process, and TI would continue to design the chips and hand off the design to other companies that would do the manufacturing. So that our whole division that I was in the advanced group that transferred technology from R&D to the manufacturing facilities. Well, that function went away, and so 700 and some people were, suddenly out of their current job. And Dallas has a limited amount of companies that do what I did, and so you can imagine those jobs filled up pretty quickly. I had to make a decision. I got offers all around the country, but at the time my wife didn't want to leave town, and so I decided to make this long story short. I started an internet marketing business that was a franchise, and it got me started. I'm not much of, I'll be honest with you, entrepreneurial skills are not my best feature, and you know that because you've known me for a while, because you're the opposite. You're very entrepreneurial, and but having a franchise helped me because it kind of gave me the structure of the business that I needed to have, because I had no clue about that. And as time went on, the franchise agreement was for 5 years. As time went on, I decided to move on from the franchise because I had all the technical skills that I needed. And the reason people buy into the franchise is they're buying the resources for technical parts of the business, and I didn't need that, so I just went on my own. That's where I am now.
So how long have you been on your own now? How long have C Squared, which is your company, how long ago did you actually start that?
So I was in the franchise. I've been in business for 12 years, so 5 of that was with WSI, and then the 7 years after that has been with C Squared Internet Solutions.
So we've known each other 12 years. If you've done the math, then that was because you had just gotten into it when we met.
Yep.
So give me an example of, I'm going to ask you for 2 client examples. I'm going to ask you for a
Sure.
client in the SEO world that you've done some really exciting stuff for, that's gotten really great results, and a client in the pay-per-click world. Give me a couple of examples of what kind of benefit they've received from, on the one hand, your SEO efforts, and on the other hand, your pay-per-click efforts.
Okay. So SEO would be Robbie Hell Homes is my big SEO client. They're a custom home builder. They tend to focus on neighborhoods that are kind of on the outskirts of Dallas. They've worked in Denton, Rockwall. They do Hutchins,
Okay.
Weatherford. I mean, a lot of little towns outside of, in North Texas, but kind of outside the Dallas area. They came to me, and they had a website that was built on somebody's server that crashed, and they lost everything. So they were desperate. And so I had to quickly build them a site. Of course, it's not your typical website that I build. It involves a big database with all the different kinds of houses and floor plans and all that kind of good stuff. So it was a challenge for me on the SEO front, but I partnered with somebody at WSI at that time, and we quickly got them up and going. And now they rank in the top, 2 or 3 slots for all the cities that they're in. And of course, it helped that they were in smaller markets, so there wasn't as much competition. But SEO is all about competition, and you got to beat. It's king of the hill, and you know that. You got to really outdo some big companies sometimes, you know, with what you're doing. And it's been successful. They get I don't know what the last time I looked, it was like I don't know, 40, 50 calls a week based on the website.
Oh, that's awesome.
And
That's really good.
of course,
So
some of them.
now I'm not going to ask a financial. I'm going to ask a financial question, so you might want to hide the name of the next one that you give. But I'm particularly interested in the pay-per-click.
Sure.
How much they spend and how much they generate. You know, I mean, hopefully they're getting $10 or $20 back for every dollar they spend.
They're getting a lot more than that.
Back. I mean, I don't know what's reasonable, but pick a good example of a company that you've done a really good job for pay-per-click, and tell us kind of how that worked.
Okay, so the company, I'm not going to go in their name, but what they do is they build blasting furnaces. So they build these giant, you know, that can be as big as a warehouse and sometimes as big as a garage, but they basically it's a blasting, you know, where they blast surfaces for getting it ready for like, you know, painting and things like that. So you can imagine that their average client probably pays several $100,000 in, you know, in revenue for, you know, just one client. And so they're, like I said, their spend is like $2,100 a month, but they're getting, all they have to do, if they get one client a year, which they get a lot more than that, but if they got one client a year, they would, you know, more than get their money back from the SEO. So that's kind of my thinking when I talk to people about whether or not to do pay-per-click. If you're selling something that, you know, sells for $10, you know, I would recommend that probably not doing that, because you're paying by the way pay-per-click works is the bigger the area that you advertise to, the more expensive it is. Because you got to imagine that you could have potentially all those millions of people in the Dallas-Fort Worth area clicking on your ad and costing you, you know, average. I think the average is about $4 or $5 a click. So it adds up in a hurry.
So Chuck, what is an ideal client? What kind of clients do you enjoy working with the most? I mean, there's got to be sort of a sweet spot where you really get a kick out of helping them. So what kind of clients are the ones that you really go, oh boy, this is going to be fun?
I like help. Believe it or not, charities are a good one. I like helping charities, but I tend not to want to charge for those because I want to help out. I've had the best clients I've had have been like a furniture distributor was one of the ones I got when I was in BNI with you, and I had them for years. Let's see, what other clients? The home builder's a good one. Trades are good clients for internet marketing. Any kind of trade. If you're not, most people go online when they look for a plumber or an air conditioning person, or
right.
Those are really good potential clients for me. Anyway.
So what are your plans for the future? What keeps you awake at night worrying about things, and what keeps you awake at night dreaming about cool things for your business?
Because of my faith, I really don't worry per se, because I'll be honest with you, early in my career, when you and I first met, I worried a lot, because it's, you know, but over time I realized that God would provide for me no matter what. So even if things aren't going well, I'm going to get revenue. So worrying is not a big deal. Trying to help people is my biggest drive. I mean, helping people is a big drive for me, and I know from my experience that pays off. You know, the more you help somebody, the more they're going to help you. I just started a big e-commerce site with a guy that I'm networked with that the potential for future business with them is unbelievable. So I'm, you know, and he's in the trades, kind of. He's does remodeling, you know, kitchen remodeling, bathroom remodeling. Those are good clients. That would be another good client.
All right. Well, folks, I'm going to tell you this personal experience. Chuck's a great guy to work with. He does a really good job. He does beautiful websites, and he's truly committed to helping you succeed. So if you need somebody to help you get a website, get some marketing in place, SEO, pay-per-click, you just need somebody to bounce some ideas off of related to that. Chuck is going to shoot straight with you. He's absolutely going to give you the best advice for you, even if it's not the best advice for him. So he's a good guy to know. So Chuck, thank you for your time today. To get in touch with Chuck, you can see his phone numbers and his website right there on the screen. So just give him a call. He'll be glad to talk to you. Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you.